y'all gonna do? We'll cruise among the stars. No matter what you do, I'll get you back up off the wall. Yes, sir. Yo, life is full of options, switching all the time, but the quickest way from A to B is still a straight line. I ain't lying, that is science. I'm trying to explain, cause if you apply determination, you can do anything. You can put your mind to. Give me the audio chords so I can find something to ride to. We're about to fly to another planet. Is magical, warps me like it's intergalactic. The way you make me feel, let's dip, cause we can fly in my starship like Han Solo by the Castle Mines, like Cowboy Bebop with jet and spies, like Captain Kirk on the Enterprise. We can travel far like a Dharma did in a Battlestar. I'm flinging haters like a catapult. You feel the heat and take it off. Like what y'all gonna do? We'll cruise among the stars. No matter what you do, I'll get you back up off the wall. Yes, sir. Keep your windows down. Breeze hitting, you didn't know, but you know now. I'm not kidding, there ain't no stopping. BSing is not an option. I just wanna see everybody rocking. I wanna see you getting higher than a rocket. Land a spacecraft with Neil and Buzz Aldrin. She in the cockpit, cruising at an altitude up there where all the stars live. Take the TARDIS back to Gallifrey, where the guardians of the galaxy, like Superman and Lois Lane, go to Cybertron on the Astro Train. I just want to see you do your thing. If you don't know now, then you'll learn. From the earth to the moon, influenced by Jules Verne. I'm not concerned about what y'all gonna do. We'll cruise among the stars. No matter what you do, I'll get you back up off the wall. Yes, sir.
Packing up for another trip. If you drive by my way, really there is no rush to this. We can rock night and day. Intergalactic love for this. Take me to outer space. Pick me up on that mothership so we can fly away, fly away.
I get in trouble sometimes. You make me wonder where we're flying to the sun.
Are we going somewhere?
I get in trouble sometimes. You make me wonder where we're
Okay.
flying to the summer. I get in trouble sometimes. You make me wonder where we're flying to the summer.
Where we going, baby?
Ooh. I get in trouble sometimes. You make me wonder where we're flying to the summer. Like
What y'all trying to do?
I'm only half a man. You know I'm only half a man. Baby, since you've been gone,
Bello on the beat.
since you I'm only half a man. You know I'm only half a man. Baby, since you've been gone, since you
Okay, everybody wants good love, that's true, I I know Derek Jones about to break it down with the relationship gumbo. Welcome to the podcast. Ain't no doubt we all need this, ayy. Cause better relationships need better ingredients, ayy. So if you want better relations, it's about communication, finding love, staying together. We all wanna make it better, yeah. Derek Jones, the host, your relationship coach. Thank you all for tuning in. Relationship gumbo, ayy.
Hey y'all, we back. You know what day it is. It's Wednesday, 8 p.m. It's the Relationship Gumbo live podcast show. And tonight we have an exciting guest, an even more exciting topic. I'm happy y'all can see I got the new and your boy got toys. So we are going to get started, but I got a couple things I want to share with you. First and foremost, if you haven't gone to the website, relationshipgumbo.info. Make sure you go there. Make sure you check everything out. I worked on that too. Everything is new. It's like a fresh car. When you get it off the lot and you peel the white stuff off of it, everything is fresh. So check it out. So make sure you go there. All the stuff is there. And if this is your first time here, I want to say welcome. And I have two things I want you to do. Share and invite with your friends, your family, your grandma, your uncle, your cousin. Everybody needs to see this show. And not only tonight, make sure that you go to that YouTube link and click subscribe. Click the bell, so make sure you get notified because we got some things coming. Y'all, tonight's going to be amazing. This guest I have tonight is going to knock your socks off. However, we going to keep doing it. Like, we going to keep going. Q4 is around the corner. We about to get it in. So make sure you share and invite. And if this is your first time here, this is also an audio podcast. So it gets uploaded to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Alexa, Pandora. Like everywhere you can get a podcast, I'm there. So make sure you check that out. So if you don't have the time to watch this on the video, you can lay in your bed, put your headphones on and get it in. Make sure you binge. We have over 100 episodes now. So it's a lot of content there. Some stuff that's going, you may want to binge the whole thing, or you can find a topic that suits your needs and go in there. So what I normally like to do, because we also do audio, is what I'm going to do is pause for 3 seconds. We're going to start the actual audio podcast. And then at the end, I'm going to pause for another 3 seconds. And then so I'll have a even place to chop it off so you guys can have something nice to listen to. So without further ado, give me my 3 seconds and we are going to get started. So stand by. And welcome to another episode of the Relationship Gumbo Podcast. My name is Derek Jones and I am your host. I'm a certified life and relationship coach, an engineer, a strategist, and a mental health advocate. And today we have a topic that you guys live through. Most of you live through, but you don't really think about it in terms of mental health and how your mental health directly or indirectly affects the relationship health, like how you show up when you come home and those type of things. But we're going to talk about some scenarios that you may not think about as you're going through this life, because a lot of us are living on survival mode. We're trying to figure it out. We're trying to figure out how to supplement the income and do all these different things, and we don't think about how we show up. So we're going to talk about that tonight. However, right now what I want to do is I want to introduce my special guest. And before I bring her on screen, let me tell you a little something, right? Me and her haven't had a lot of extensive conversations, but you know how, and this is what I've been telling you guys, those of you who've been rocking with me for a while, it's something about discernment. It's something about how people's energy feel. And, a few weeks ago, I had my high school reunion, the fifth high school reunion. And, and she came with a friend of mine that I went to high school with. And so exchanged a couple of things. And I was like, I need you on the show. I think it probably took about 3 minutes before I said that. So she's here now. And when I tell you, before I bring her up on the screen, I always research a little bit about my guests. And I told her this before we came on. And I was like, you do a lot. Like, when I talk about people that I connect with, loving what they do, being a servant leader, her picture's in the dictionary like this, servant leader. And I'm telling you, wait until she about to come on the screen. I'm telling you guys. So make sure you invite your folks on here because we're about to get it in. So stand by. I'm going to put her on screen and unmute her. Make sure she's good. Welcome to the show, Miss Rhonda Wood.
Thank you so much, Derek. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
So what I want you to do is I want you to tell people just a little bit about yourself and what you do, and then we're going to get right into the meat and potatoes of this thing.
Okay, all right. Well, my name is Rhonda M. Wood. I'm an international empowerment speaker. I'm a published author. I'm a talk show co-host. I'm a life coach, and I identify as the world's #1 mental health advocate. Not to outshine you or anything, Derek. I know you're a mental health advocate, but I identify as the world's #1 mental health advocate because I am super passionate about what I do. I can talk about it all day, every day in my sleep and with my hands behind my back.
See what I'm saying, y'all? Was I right or was I? Y'all haven't even heard us talk about the topic yet, right? So let's do this. I want to at least acknowledge a couple people in the comments. Tashura's here, Alicia's here, Esmeralda's here, TK's Chronicle of a Black Sheep podcast, Dope Discussions with Erica. Love you all. Make sure y'all bring y'all +5s in here and let's get it going. So we're about to get started. So what I did was, and of course, this list that I have isn't every single scenario, but I picked out some things that I think would be the most important to the viewers here and the things that we go through every day that's real common now, especially in 2021. So I'm going to start with my first bullet point, and then I'm going to pass the baton over to Rhonda so that she can kind of add her input, and then we just going to let it flow like we always do here every week. So here's the first area that I want to tackle, which is huge because I know a lot of people, like I said earlier, are trying to figure out where the next dollar's coming from. People are trying to supplement their income. Entrepreneurship is the new sexy. Everybody's trying to figure it out. And there's a lot of brand new entrepreneurs never did it before, trying to figure it out. And a lot of times while you're trying to figure it out, there's some small prices you have to pay sometimes. And a lot of time it affects your mental health. And there's a whole range of emotions and roller coaster rides that you have to take I would say most of us who've never done it, this is new. Like you, who knew? The only thing you know that you're doing is you're trying to, take care of your family. You didn't necessarily expect some of the pitfalls that come. So what I want to do is I want to pass it over to Rhonda. And what I want you to do is, because you are an entrepreneur, I want you to kind of cite maybe a couple of things that new entrepreneurs go through that affect their mental health. And then we'll segue into how that shows up into relationships.
I think that's a great topic. I think a new entrepreneur and new entrepreneurship, I think it can certainly affect your mental health because it requires and demands a certain level of sacrifice of time, because there can be long hours, sacrifice of money. Obviously, you need some money, some capital to get started and get going. Certain level of commitments. There are certain level of goals. You have to make goals, or you may have to even sacrifice those goals. You may have planned to take a vacation to Jamaica or around the world or Greece or going out the country, and you may have to sacrifice, those types of things in order to fulfill your goal and your dream of being an entrepreneur. So yes, it can be challenging. It's a certain level of taking big risks. And it certainly those types of things can certainly contribute to a certain level of stress, certain level of anxiety, uncertainty, the unknown. You may not make the money that you want to make right away. And so, you might get some nervousness, in the, hey, I've been there. I know. I've heard of some people, having to hide the car around the corner because, you don't want anything to get repoed. So, there's definitely some issues relating to mental health that can come from venturing out into entrepreneurship or starting off as a new entrepreneur.
Yeah. So here's my little add on to that, right? So we talked about stress, anxiety, and in some cases, depression can happen. And I've had a couple of little stints here and there throughout the years, and um, the stress that comes along with, especially if this is something that you're doing to kind of save you, like I'm working and I'm working check to check, and I need some extra income, and it's like this means everything. You put all of your emotion, all of your energy, and all of your time. Notice I'm using the word all on purpose. All of your energy, all of your emotion, and all of your time into this thing that you think is going to save you. But when you do put all of that in there, guess what happens when something doesn't work? Your whole mental state goes to shambles. And so the way I want to segue this is when you're going through all of these emotions of trying to figure it out, because it's not going to work right the first time, then you have to, if you're starting a home business or if you're doing something outside, either way, if you have a family or if you have a significant other that may be living in the same household, or even if they don't live in the same, it could be a boyfriend-girlfriend situation. When you show up, it's hard to shake it off and still be the person that you were before you started this journey. And so the angle that I want to take this is, when you do decide to make these sacrifices, like you said, and the emotions and sometimes the stress and all of the other stuff that comes along with it, what we don't realize is, and I'll take this, personally, and I've seen, men and women, but I'm just saying personally, what happens is you have that goal, and let's say your why is your family. If your why is your family or your significant other, and you're focused on that, you're thinking about the money, you're thinking about the process, but you're not thinking about they still need you to be a part of the family. And what ends up happening a lot of times is the family will be upset because you're not giving them parts of you. And then a lot of times the response is, but I'm doing this for you guys. And so there's a disconnect because they want you to cater to the family, but you're like, I'm doing this for you. And I've been in that situation a couple times where I was like, but and Alicia will laugh when I say this. I always say, I'm trying to create a legacy for the family. And she's like, but dude, we haven't gone out. Let's go out. Let's have some fun. And I'm like, no, I got to build a legacy. And so sometimes and I know there's sacrifice involved, but losing the present to try to do all of that, you miss time, especially if you have kids and stuff like that. So you got to really make some decisions. And a lot of times, and I'm gonna segue this back over to you. When people are dealing with these things like this in the family dynamics, because you are a mental health advocate, what do you think are a couple of things that people really have to take into consideration as they try to ride the fence between taking care of the family and being an entrepreneur? If you follow what I'm saying, what should the mindset be in order for you to tackle both? Or is it all or nothing?
Wow, that's a great question. So yeah, I definitely feel like the individual who is trying to venture into entrepreneurship, they certainly have to do a double role, especially in the beginning. Yes, you want to be able to show up, like you say, you want to be able to give your all to your business. There's no point in doing it if you're going to do it halfway. And in the same way, you also need to be able to continue to give your all to your family. You don't want to have to, them only to experience you halfway. You don't want to give to your business and give your family your leftovers. You don't want to give your all to your family and give your leftovers to your business. So trying to kind of have that delicate dance of how can I show up fully and be successful in both areas, both professionally and personally at home, whereas everybody is happy. My customers and my clientele is happy and my family is happy. And I think an important component of that, an important ingredient is, one, there has to be a level of communication. Hey, let's get the family on board and let the family know. This is my goal. This is my dream. And I really need everyone's full support. I need my significant other, whether that's your spouse, your girlfriend, whomever, I need your 100% full support. That might, and say what this might entail. Let them know in advance, these are some things that you may experience in the beginning. There may be some long hours, there may be some travel. I need to network in order for this to be successful.
Yep.
And then you kind of go from there. There may need to be a certain level of compromise on both ends. Hey, how about 10 hours instead of 12 or something like that? How
Right.
about, you can work during the week, but give us the weekends or whatever that is. But I definitely feel like there needs to be a level of communication so that we know what the expectations are in advance. And I
Yeah.
think that kind of, cut down on some of the misunderstanding and, things that can go south really fast.
Yeah, it's very important, I think, too, just to piggyback on what you said, is to have that communication of letting them know. And you're not going to know everything, but it's important to kind of let them know along the path, like, hey, this didn't go the way that I wanted it to. It's going to go this way. I need your support. I may not be here, on Saturday like I normally am for a couple of weekends, but this is why, And I think, a family that loves you, as long as you deliver it with kindness and grace and love, that eventually they'll get it, right? I'm gonna read a couple of comments here, and I'm definitely not reading all of them. I'm gonna just pick out a couple. Dope discussions with Erica says you can't use the family as a reason to go so hard if the family wasn't consulted about what it should look like. Exactly. And here's the thing, right? I'm gonna say it one more time. When you do start this new venture, it's important. Like today, if you're watching this video and you start a business next week, let your family know what you're about to go into. Because a lot of times we'll see this thing, like somebody was in our inbox like, hey, you got to do this thing. And you're like, hey, I got to do this thing. I'm starting tomorrow. I gave them $300 to start and I'm about to, and it's like the thought process isn't there. So if your family doesn't know what your plan is, then it looks chaotic to them and they don't understand. So it's not fair to them either. Let me get Reverend Kevin Montague. Let me see here, sir. Prayer has to be involved to ask God to help everyone in this process. Family has to come first, because without the support of your family, then the business will crumble. Exactly.
Awesome comment.
And I'll tell you, the spaces that I've fallen into is feeling like I had to do it myself, like all by myself. No, just let me do it. And even when they try to help, it's like, no, I got it. And it's a hard lesson to learn that you can't do everything by yourself.
That is true. Entrepreneurship is not a one-person job.
Yeah.
It definitely takes a community. It takes some delegation for sure.
So I'm gonna do one more comment, and then I'm gonna go to the next bullet point we have here. Love Tucker says, if we agreed that taking care of the family is attending to moments and quality time, not just making money via your own venture. Yeah. I think as a society and a community, we go hard for that money so much that we don't even consider anything else. It's like I always talk about, and I want you to speak to this a little bit too, because you move in a lot of entrepreneurial spaces and deal with a lot of different people. Let me ask your opinion about this, because this also adds to some people's stress. I'm gonna spit out a couple of terms to you, and you let me know what your first reaction is. Team no sleep.
I'm sorry, say that one more time.
Team no sleep.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
hustle till you die, and all of that. What do you feel when you as an entrepreneur, as a successful functioning entrepreneur? How do you feel when people say they don't have to get any sleep because they got to get it done and all of that?
Well, I mean, I do think, like I said in the beginning, I do think that entrepreneurship does have a certain level of a sacrifice of time. However, I also think it is important. Self-care is important, and part of that is making sure you get rest so that you can function properly to be able to make these great decisions and ultimately be successful. So, yeah, I get it. I mean, there are times when you may have to work some late hours. You may have to even work late, but I definitely believe in getting the sleep and allowing your brain to reset.
Yes, absolutely. And that as a Tonight Show being the foundation and the nucleus of this being about mental health, when you don't get, like, it's one thing to get less sleep than you normally get. It's another thing to just not, right? And that also affects how you show up mentally, and how you function and how you focus, and how you end up dealing with people. Because I've had a couple of late nights this week, and I actually today I took a day off work today because I was like, I didn't get enough sleep. I've been running because as you see, I've been doing all of this stuff, and I'm trying to make sure that what I had in my brain, I got off, and it doesn't work the first time the way you want it, and blah blah blah. And so I had a couple of like 3 and 4 a.m. nights, and I'm like, I gotta wake up at 5. I gotta wake up at 6 to log into work. And I was like, you know what? Let me go ahead and take I'm one of those type of people, again, self-care, mental health, all of this stuff. I'm one of those type of people that has a whole ton of vacation time, but I feel like I gotta be there.
Oh wow! Yeah,
So I'm learning to detach. That's why I took off today, because I'm one of those type of people that I'm like, if I'm not there, it's gonna blow up, and let me make sure they good. So yeah, I'm getting there. Okay, so we're gonna move to the next bullet point here, which I know, especially in the area where we are in the DMV, that corporate life, the work stress, the commutes that we have, and how that affects your brain and how you show up both at work and at home. It's kind of tangential to the entrepreneur life. It's a lot of similar stuff, but there's a lot of pressure that comes along with that as well. And just having if that's your primary job, if something happens, then everything, that's a lot of pressure for a lot of people, especially now with the whole COVID thing and the jobs, all of this stuff. But what I want you to kind of comment on is similar to how you function as an entrepreneur, but now we want to get into the mind of the 9 to 5, showing up every day, dealing with the boss, dealing with the commute. Like some people commutes are like an hour and a half, 2 hours each way. And then they got to go to work. And what that fatigue and what that stress does to your mind, and how you have to show up like that every day. And we can talk about relationships or whatever, but I want you to speak to, maybe in your experience, or maybe, what you see, what does this look like underneath the hood? Like if you peeled the cap back, and how does that, because some people deal with it, but they never really talk about it. They just do it. So what I want you to do is to talk about like how some people really function or not function when they're dealing with this stress. Like we're talking about bosses, we're talking about commutes, we're talking about, not being able to use the bathroom unless you clock in and out. That's a lot. So I want you to speak to that a little bit from the how it affects your mental state.
Sure, absolutely. Man, I am happy to share about this part, because let me tell you, there was a time not that long ago where I would wake up at 5:30, leave out at 7, wake up at 5:30, leave out at 6:30, drop my daughter off at school at 7:30, get to work at 8:30, which was actually an hour early. And I had to drop my daughter off in Maryland, in Silver Spring, go down 16th Street through DC, all of that lovely downtown DC traffic, to get to work an hour early. I would get there an hour early, work through lunch, and sometimes stay late. And then come home, would have to cook dinner. Sometimes I would stop and get groceries, check homework, do laundry, let the dog. It was crazy. And this is what I did Monday through Friday, 9 to whenever. Sometimes when I got home, I still had to log on and do work. And then I was even attached to a mobile device on the weekends. And so this is what I had to do to support my company. And this was me building someone else's dream. And then finally I realized, man, all of this time that I'm spending in traffic, all of this time I'm spending going back and forth, all of this time away from my family, again, building someone else's dream for a company in which my name is never going to be on that wall. And so what does that do to you mentally? What does that do to your mental health? Again, stress, feeling conflicted, because this is what you have to do to pay the bills. All of that was so that I could provide a living. And of course, we want to be great providers for our family. We want nice things. We work hard. We want to be able to play hard. But what good is it when you're working so much and you don't even get to enjoy it? You're not getting that time with your family. So
Yeah.
that's why I appreciate entrepreneurship so much, because it allows you to have that financial freedom. It allows you to have that freedom of your time and more time to spend with your family. It allows you to have less discouragement, less unhappiness, less of feeling that pressure. Oh, I have to get to work on time. I have to be a good producer of work product.
Yeah.
There's certain tasks that I have to get done. There were times when I had competing demands from people, and I knew the only way I could get it done was to continue to work extra hours. So the work, the corporate America, is, many people can probably relate to, was certainly putting a lot of stress to put in a certain number of hours, a certain level of work product. In high level companies, they want every T dotted, every T crossed, every I dotted. You didn't put an extra space after period. That was your job. You had trouble sleeping at night.
Yeah.
It was that
Yeah.
those high
Yeah.
expectations, and it was just so stressful.
Yeah, I'm gonna read a couple of comments, but I do want to make this one comment about this because this is like super near and dear. The reason why, guys that are watching, the specific topics that I chose tonight, I picked them because they affect your mental health, but these are the things that we don't think about because we in it. Like, we're working and we're doing these things and we're focused on it every day, that we don't even really get the opportunity to step outside of ourselves and say, wait, I'm stressed or I'm depressed. We don't even call it anything because we're in it. Like, I went through a few periods where I knew something wasn't right, but I didn't know to call it depression because I got to show up every day. So I specifically chose these because when you're in that rat race and you have that schedule and the kids and whatever else is going on, we don't even think about taking care of this because everything is controlled by this. We got to keep that healthy too. And so just to kind of go to recap, being an entrepreneur, being in corporate America, all of these things matter. And it's not like in being a mental health advocate, a lot of these things, like I always used to tell people, you can't, even in relationships, I always say this, you'll never really be able to control them. But you can control how you react. You can control how you deal. You control how you deal with them. So these things that we think are impossible to move or impossible to make adjustments, like our jobs, even dealing with our families, could be a huge stressor. How do you exist in a home where you got all of this going on outside? You come in, you got all of this going. There's no way that you could be a functioning, empathetic, compassionate person when you got all of this stuff on your shoulders. So this was important for us to talk about because I really need people to understand that you do. And not in a lot of my shows, it's about your boy just a little bit. So I really wanted to bring this because it took me a long time to realize that I needed to put me on the priority list. No matter what the goal was, I have to. My wife tells me this literally every week. Like, dude, when are you going? Especially now, my job didn't ask me to come back. They're like, we like y'all being at home. We get more work out of y'all. So, and I'm like, so when you in the house all the time, my wife will be like, dude, did you go outside today? I'm like, I didn't go outside. I didn't even go out and smell the fresh air. I'm in the house. And that's a whole nother conversation right there. But we gotta take care of ourselves. I'm talking to myself too, guys. So I'm gonna read a couple of comments here, and then we're gonna go to the next few bullet points here. Erica, dope discussion with Erica, says, I used to get an instant headache when I walked through the door of my job. My body would automatically tense up in anticipation of the BS.
Woo! Been there. I'm with you, girl.
That anxiety, man, it's I don't even want to think about it. I think I got PTSD from from some of those calls, those meetings, and those emails. Some mornings I'll look at that thing. Let me see if I can get some. Let me see here. Let's see. Some people use their lack of sleep and rest as a badge of honor and proof that they're being productive. Not true.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Let me tell you something. I ain't no spring chicken no more. I need my sleep now. I need sleep and naps. I still get it done. Got to work smarter, not harder. And then I'm going to read Love Tucker, and then we're going to move on. Having panic attacks twice a day, every day during the week, and breaking out into hives, I knew I had to walk out of that 9-to-5 box. It did not work for me. It's serious. Like you think about just take away the job, the traffic. The traffic alone will drive you nuts every day.
And what contributed to that was you were stressing out because you didn't want to be late, because you didn't want to, get some type of reprimand or something. So it was just stressful all the way around. And then I don't know how many of your listeners and viewers had this issue, but with me in corporate America, there was more pressure from corporate and self-imposed, because in many cases, I was the only female. And in some cases, in certain environments, in some cases, I was the only person of color in certain environments. So you didn't want to be the one to walk in late. You didn't want to be the one that had issues at home. You didn't want, you didn't want that. So we were trying to fit in. And a lot of times we were masking our stress because you wanted to look like you could handle it. Oh no, I got it. I'm in control and I'm in charge, and so we would sort of, suppress what we were really going through, the stress and everything, because we didn't want to look like we couldn't handle it. So.
Yeah, all I'm gonna say is amen, because I know exactly what you're talking about. That's why a lot of times I don't take off when I probably should, because I'm thinking about, okay, if I take off, when I come back, they probably done had a whole meeting. They looking at all my stuff, and they gonna be like, Derek, it never fails. And I'm like, yo, you couldn't wait till I came back? And they're like, nah, we went ahead and made these changes without you. And I'm like, wait, hold on. Oh yeah, right. It's that right there. Yep, that's it. So
not only that, you realize what they can do without you.
Right.
There's that also.
Right. So we're gonna there's our friend Lisa Phillips. I'm gonna read her comments since she popped in here. That's our mutual friend there. How do you deal with individuals who suffer with chronic depression and anxiety but don't want to accept help? I'm gonna toss that your way.
People who deal with chronic depression and what else?
And anxiety, but don't want to accept help.
Don't want to accept. Well, I think that's the big part of it, is that they need to be willing to accept the help. You can't force someone. At some point, they'll get to the point where the body and the mind can only take so much. If you think about it as sort of like a trash compactor, the trash truck is always moving stuff to the back so it can fit more in. At some point, it can't take anymore. At some point, we physically and mentally can't take anymore. You don't want people to get to that point. You hope that they're willing to accept the help before they get to that point. But some people do have to crash. Some people do have to hit that brick wall. Some people do, unfortunately, have to hit rock bottom before they realize, oh, what I'm doing is not working. And I need to get the support and resources that I need so that I can turn the corner.
Yeah. And the other thing that I learned too doing these shows is sometimes they need to hear from a different voice.
It's true. Sometimes we want to be the superhero. We want to be the person to fix the boo-boos, especially when it's our children or our loved ones or somebody that but sometimes our job is just to plant the seed. And their rescue may come from somebody else, and we have to be willing to be okay with that.
Yeah, because what I find with even with this show is people will watch the show and they'll say, I always knew that, but I heard it a different way, and I think I want to go get help. And I'm like, okay, but they'll have family members that's been telling them for years.
Yes, there's things that told my daughter 100 times, and 100 times, and all of a sudden she heard from somebody else, be like, yeah. I'd be like, wait a minute. I'd be like,
Yep.
oh well, as long as she heard it and got it, it doesn't matter
Yeah.
how it came to her.
Exactly. So yeah, it's that's especially in our community, in the Black community, that stigma of, and I know as a mental health advocate, it's something serious. It's getting a little better, but we got a lot of work to do.
We've only scratched the tip of the iceberg for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Reverend Kevin Montague says the savior complex. You can't save anyone. Yeah, they gotta wanna do it for themselves, or it's gonna keep repeating itself.
Absolutely.
TK's Chronicles of a Black Sheep podcast says now I get up 30 minutes early to pray, meditate, and cleanse my energy.
Yes. That is so important.
You gotta learn how to. I'm the poster child for not detaching. You gotta learn how to detach. I do it almost effortlessly now. I'm like, hold on, because I know what that stress. Like for me, I know I've talked about this maybe on a few shows in the past, but stress is something that I used to be able to deal with really easily, but now the older version of me.
Yes.
I have like zero. I can't do it, and it starts to affect me physically so much. Like sometimes I'll get a headache, and it's because, and I'm like, so when I know that something's, I'm like, you know what, you got it. I'm gonna be over here. Let me know when you're ready to talk, because I cannot. I tell my daughter all the time, you might want to chill, because I can't, and we not even gonna have to discuss it. You already know. So.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
I had to learn that about myself, because I was we're gonna talk about that later, people pleasing.
Yeah,
But I was
I
that
love
dude. I took all that
Yeah.
stress and I was like, I can handle it as long as they good.
Right.
Nah.
We've
Say it again.
learned to normalize and internalize our stress and our stressors. We make it normal. We're like, oh yeah, stress, I can, and we wear that as a badge of honor. Being able to handle a lot of things and a lot of pressure, but it's just not healthy. And you're right. The older you get, you don't realize now. Then you're carrying decades of stress that you never released. So,
Yeah. Erica said I would detach with a karate chop. Hiya. I'm going. So since I said people pleasing, we'll go there next. And I know a lot of people that watch my show, and a lot of people. It's funny how this works, right? How you attract people that are very similar to how you are. I attract a lot of what do they call it? Highly sensitive people pleasers, empaths, and I'll have like a whole string of them, and it's like. I've talked about this a lot, but I don't think you could talk about it enough. People who are people pleasers, you always gonna get the butt end of the stick, no matter how much you think you're gonna get it back the same way. It almost never happens, and it messes with your mind, and we don't realize it because it's almost like a drug. Like you don't get it back, you feel bad, but then you gotta go keep doing it again so you can feel. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Oh, wow. Yes, you have to keep doing it so that you can continuously have that high of feeling valued or feeling, validated or feeling important, or just wanting to do something to make other people happy. And, there's that saying, not to set yourself on fire to keep other people warm. And I know
Yeah.
let's talk about the Olympics again for a little bit, with Simone Biles and even, the tennis athlete, Naomi Osaka, I think that's how you say her last name. But, these were two people who obviously had a lot of pressure, who wanted to please the world. Simone Biles obviously wanted to, be there for her team, wanted to please the world, wanted to help support and bring home a medal for the United States. But it was at the risk of her own mental health.
Yeah.
And so she took a step back at the risk of all of these naysayers, all of this negativity, all of this negative chatter. But she was like, hey, I need to put myself first. I need to prioritize my mental health and my self-care. And I'm going to do that. And when I come back, I'm going to come back with a vengeance. And y'all going to know.
Right.
But that was necessary. Had she continued in the vein of people pleasing, she could have risked herself her physical health, much less her mental health. For
Yeah.
sure, she got
Yeah.
seriously hurt. The way she was describing what she was going through when she was doing those flips and turns, you know, losing track of where she was in the air and possibly injuring herself.
Yeah.
She absolutely did the right thing, and I applaud her. And even if she didn't come back, she was already a champion in my book. She
Right. Right.
set the stage. She set an incredible example and said, "This is what you do. You forget about everybody else and you take care of you. You put you first, and there's nothing wrong with that."
Yeah. Yeah. It's a lot. Again, as my friend Tashura says, I'm triggered. Yeah, a super duper people pleaser here. But here's the thing, as it relates to relationships, especially people pleasing, the flaw in being a people pleaser to the point where you sacrifice how you feel, you sacrifice even physically just doing too much and wearing yourself out. When you don't communicate these things to people and you take it all on your back, you're hurting the relationships that you have because they don't know. And people that don't know will continue to take as long as you allow them to. So it's heavy living in that space. Again, I know this all too well. It's almost kind of like torture. You're torturing yourself because you don't feel appreciated. You don't get the gratification that you want, but you keep going and you don't tell people it's too much. And you just keep going and you keep going and you keep going and it's hurting and you're stressed out and you keep going because you have to please them. And the other person in the relationship thinks everything is cool. And it's not.
It's a form of self-destruction, self-sabotage.
Yeah.
And what can help fix that is just communication. We were created to survive in a community. So there has to be a level of give and take. It needs to be equal. And yes, I am a servant. I love to give. But I realize that, we can give to the point where we become empty. And so again, it's about prioritizing our own self-care. But just like I give, I also need to be poured into. I can't just give all the time. You don't want to be a person who takes all the time. It really has to be equal in any relationship. And when it's not, there needs to be some communication.
Yeah. Yeah. You will find people who are in relationships like this, which it's a lot. Because I have shows where I talk about how people who do this attract people with narcissistic traits because they give so much.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it doesn't.
Yeah,
Uh-oh.
I need to write a book about that. That's a whole new talk show. That's a whole nother episode right there.
But it's like, and I'm gonna wrap this one up. It's like when you do that and you exist in these spaces, and a lot of us do it for years and years. You almost somewhat, in a lot of cases, build up resentment to your partner that doesn't even know what you're going through. Like you be mad at them, and they be like, "Whoa, what's that? What is going on?" They like,
Yeah.
2 whole years I've been pissed off, and I never said anything. We got to do better, people. We got to do better because, and I'm preaching to the, I was like this most of my life, where I felt like the world on my back was cool. I got this. This ain't nothing. But I lived in existence through several relationships where I knew I wasn't getting. I was, it was probably like a 90-10 split my way.
Wow.
And it's like I'm doing everything, and I feel like I'm happy that they're happy, but am I happy? I need y'all to catch that.
Yeah. And you know something, Derek? I know of a lot of women who are independent and they want to be the boss. They want to make the decisions. They want to take care of everything. And then later down the line, they get mad because they're doing everything. And they're like, wait a minute. That was a relationship that you created that.
See, you've been hanging out on Clubhouse, I see.
Wow.
those rooms on there. Whew. Anyway, Love Tucker says don't trigger the guest. Yeah. Erica says silently resentful and the other person doesn't even know. Yeah. Yeah.
Yep, that's true. You learn to passively it's almost passive because you don't say anything. Weeks and months and years go by and you learn to passively resent the person.
Yeah.
And then when you finally get tired of it, it's at a level where, I mean, you're
Yep.
like ready to snap and they're like, what happened? Like, you're like a bomb that just went off that's ready to explode. And this is a communication issue that needed to happen a while ago. So
Yep.
it didn't get to that point.
That's why I try to champion on here
Right.
to be careful about how we communicate, be careful about how we argue, and be careful about how we a lot of times hurt each other. That stuff doesn't go away. And if you're in a relationship, it has to be reciprocal. I know a lot of you guys like to take, but that other person they not. I don't care if they smiling. It's not cool. It's not cool. I'm representing all of them right now. It ain't cool. So we have one more. This is funny that we're talking about triggers because that's the last being triggered from things from past relationships.
Wow.
I did a show a long time ago, maybe like because we're coming up on this January's this 2-year anniversary. I want to say maybe like within the first few months of the show, I did a show about relationship PTSD and the stuff that you bring, that we don't look at it like that. And I want you to talk about a little bit about when people, I'm going to try to frame it for you so I can put it in a pretty bow for you here.
Okay.
We're going to talk, I want you to talk about mentally, like when you're entering into a new relationship or a new situation and that person does something to trigger you. When people experience that, what should they be looking for as far as like how it feels? Like what would be the red flag to say, wait, I'm being triggered versus I'm just going to be pissed off and treat this person a certain way. Does that make sense?
You're asking, knowing the difference between being triggered from a past relationship versus like a new
Versus just
relationship.
being pissed off because somebody did something and it's like so there has to be a point where it's a problem, right?
Right.
And a lot of us don't recognize it because, we may go through some physical, we may go through something mental that happens. And what would that look like for somebody that doesn't know that they're being triggered? Like, for an example, if somebody, I don't want to go that far. I was going to talk about some physical abuse, but we're not going to go there tonight. Let's say somebody cheated on you and you found something in their cell phone, and then you see your new person on the cell phone. There's tears to anger. So it's like going from 0 to 3,000 to me would be a sign that maybe you need to look in the mirror because you really don't have any reason to treat that someone that you don't know. And so some of the things that would happen to people, I guess is what I'm asking you, that would be the difference between regular old, I didn't like that versus give me some scenarios of what some of these triggers would look like for men or women.
Well, first of all, triggers from past relationships typically come from something that you haven't healed from. There's a certain level of hurt or trauma, someone or something that you have not forgiven and moved past. So that's number one. So you need to kind of resolve that. You need to first give yourself the space and the grace to feel, deal, and heal, and if necessary, forgive, so that you don't carry any emotional baggage into a new relationship. You need to, and in the new relationship, also be open about the thing that happened in the past. Being open with the other person in a safe, confidential, and no judgment zone. Hey, this is something that happened in my past relationship that really bothered me. And it's not about you bringing your problems or your baggage to the new relationship. It's about you trusting that person enough to let them know so that they won't do the same thing. So
Yeah.
it's kind of preventing that from happening. So I feel like the difference between the two scenarios that you gave is one could be is basically your reaction. If it's a 0 to 3,000 thing, okay, that's something that has to do with you, the individual, something that you still need to work through. When the reaction is, probably a little less dramatic, if the other individual if you have something in your phone, how do I react to that? I can react in the space of, hey, what's going on here? Let's have a conversation. Let's make sure this isn't a misunderstanding. And if it's inappropriate, okay, I'm gone, versus let me scream, yell, holler, fight, curse, punch you in the throat,
Yeah. All of that.
all of the above, and then some.
Yeah, I think I've seen it happen personally a couple of ways. I've seen the 0 to 3,000, and then I've also seen people retreat. And I think like that fear, and just to kind of bring it around to mental health, sometimes it causes anxiety and like panic attacks, and because it feels so much like the thing that you were, that you dealt with trauma wise, or something that you fear may happen again. And that fight or flight, that happens with people. A lot of people I talk to, they run before they even try to deal with it. And then there's other people that lash out, and there's something going on. And I think when you sometimes are in it, you don't realize it, but you really have to take a step back. And like you said, you have to kind of step back and try to heal, try to deal with those things, especially if it happens. And I know this happens to a lot of people. It happens with one person, and then you detach, and then you do the same thing with the next person. Then you start to build a pattern. And then you're like, I wonder why people don't really like me. Oh,
And the common denominator is
you got to look at the common denominator.
If you're saying the same pattern and you're having the same issue, then I think you kind of do need to take a step back and have a level of self-awareness. It's so much easier to blame the other person. It is, but you also have to be like, okay. I mean, every relationship, every single relationship is going to have issues and challenges. But again, it's all about our response and our reaction to them.
Yeah, you have to learn to be responsible for your actions, responsible for your mental health, no matter what that means. And a lot of the work that I do here on the show is really just letting you peel back the layers to kind of see, like, I do have a pattern. It's like I always tell people, once you get to a certain age and you look back on your life and all the different relationships you've been in, it's a pattern there. You may not recognize it, but you picking for certain types of people for a reason. A lot of times they're very similar, and we'll be like, oh no, I dated different types of people. And I'm like, but what happened? Oh, well, they all did this one thing, or they were all narcissists. And I'm like, so all the narcissists find you? We gotta it don't just be one or two, it'd be like 5. And I'm like, wait.
Wow.
Narcissists bad, but we got to talk about why you keep choosing them. So
one time. It should only take one time. I only needed a relationship with a narcissist one time, and I learned from that. And I was like, you will not get me again.
Yeah. It's those things.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's and I wanted to bring that point up too about the triggers and all of this other kind of stuff, because it's such a psychological thing that happens that to the tone of the show that we don't think about it being mental health. We just know we got mad. We just know that person might be in their phone talking to somebody, but I don't really know. And it messes with your head and to the point where you start second guessing your own thoughts, and it starts to become this thing, and you got to check that somehow, some way. And I would be remiss if I did not say, as both of us being mental health advocates, that you may not have the answers yourself. You might need to go seek out.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna let you talk to that.
I am a huge advocate for getting professional, um, to seeking help from a mental health professional. I'm a huge supporter of therapy, counseling, whatever you want to call it, groups, support groups, educational, educating yourself on mental health, learning about symptoms, learning about positive coping skills, ways to deal with your stress and your symptoms in a positive way versus the negative coping skills that we want to run to. Also allowing yourself, like I said, giving yourself the space and the grace to be able to heal and feel.
Mm-hmm.
And best decision I ever made. And because I did that, because I sought and went through and did my healing, my health, because a lot of us don't even realize that we need it. I say go anyway, even if it's just to get a mental health checkup. Go anyway, go regularly. I feel like I am in such a better place now. I feel like I am a better mother. I am a better career and businesswoman. I'm a better entrepreneur as a healed person than I was before. I'm a better mother. I even feel like I'm completely ready for the next relationship. I am prepared. Not saying that I am going to be this 100% perfect person. No, but I know how to deal with issues that come up in a relationship. I know how to better handle them from a better space and a better place.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this what you just said is amazing, and I think this is what I also try to teach on this show. It's not really about feeling like you're going to solve everything when you even seek out help. It's about
Absolutely.
getting new tools.
Absolutely. The
Like,
tools and the strategies to know how to
tools
handle
exactly.
the different things that come at you. Because again, things are going to happen. No relationship is perfect, but you will learn how to be, how to handle those situations better. And as a parent-child relationship, as a in spousal relationships, in dating relationships, in business relationships,
Yeah.
friendships,
Yeah.
family, siblings, parents, all of that, you will learn how to be able to. You also, be better with your responses when conflicts happen, and also to be quicker to forgive, because you are
Yeah.
healing all of that. You are uprooting it, dealing with
Yeah.
it, and healing it, and
Yeah.
that, and yeah, and it's a
Absolutely.
process, it's a
Absolutely.
journey, but it works.
Yeah, it's I'm an engineer by trade. Who knew that I would be on this path? And even me saying that I'm a mental health advocate, who knew, right? But it's
Right.
so serious. Like, it's so serious that we don't, when we're dealing in these cycles of behavior, that we don't lean into us thinking that we all know everything. Like, we're not a lot of these things, we're not born with this stuff. Our parents don't show us the right way and all of this. Sometimes you're gonna have to bring in someone that deals with this stuff so that they can map it out for you, because who wants to continue for the rest? I always say it like this: for the rest of your life, dealing
Right.
with the same behavior that hasn't changed since you was like 25. Like, we have to. And now, like I always tell people, now we have a lot of resources that are at your fingertips. You can't say, I don't know where to go, or I don't know how to Google something, or I watched the Relationship Gumbo podcast show, or I looked at people are out here shouting from the rooftops, please get help, please get help. There's resources out here for you, and we need to take this thing serious. It's not about being crazy. It's about being a more productive human being and showing up in your life, whether it's the family, even for yourself, in a better way, so that we can grow. I'm all about growth on this show, whether it's your personal life, your relationship needs to grow, everything needs to grow. So I'm gonna read a couple of comments, and then we gonna wrap this up, because we know it's past your bedtime. We want to make sure we get you tucked in at a decent hour tonight. Love Tucker says, learning how to unpack your own luggage with yourself is a huge benefit of therapy tools. Yeah.
Ooh,
Dope discussion with Erica says therapy should be a normal routine thing that we do, just like going to the dentist.
yes, love it. I love that.
I'll just read a couple.
Sure.
Givers have a hard time choosing themselves.
That is true.
I got
We're
the
used to
passport
putting
and the
it
stamps on that one.
last.
Say it again.
Givers are accustomed to putting themselves
Yes,
last.
yes,
Serving.
absolutely, absolutely. Cause my daughter even told me today, right? Remember I told you I took today off, and I was like, I took today off, and she was like, finally, you did it. So she knows. She knows.
Yes. It's
So
important to know when our children know. When our children
yeah,
see,
yeah. She
know,
literally said, yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, wow. And she's 12, but she was just like, Dad, when are you gonna take off of work? Cause she sees all of the movements and all the stuff I be doing going, and she's like,
and you know what? And now you can put yourself in a space where you model the behavior that you want her to have.
there it is. There it is.
Yeah, 'cause
There it
you
is.
don't want her to have this workaholic mentality. You want her to say, "Nope, I'm taking time out for myself."
Exactly.
I'm prioritizing
Exactly.
me.
We got and that's another even larger thing is what we model to our kids.
Absolutely, I totally agree. With you.
That's a whole show series for a week right there.
Yeah, because what we talk about is we talk about, oh, I want to create financial abundance. I want to leave a legacy. I want to impact the world. But what we're modeling to them is that you have to have this hustle, work hard, don't get no sleep mentality. And we don't want to teach our kids that. That's not what
Yeah.
we want them to model.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I 100% agree. So we're going to wrap this up. This was amazing. I'm
It
glad
was.
that you took a little bit out of your schedule to share with your boy tonight.
I
Um,
love every
it's
minute. This was
it's been a
awesome.
pleasure. So I want if you have any any words you want to give to people about anything in general, and then after that, I want you to tell people how to find you.
Sure, absolutely. I want to end with just stressing the fact that mental health is just as important as physical health. Just like you would go to the doctor to take care of anything that was ailing you, we need to have that same mentality about our mental health and our emotional wellness. When it comes to relationships, I think, any type of relationship, I think it's important, number one, to always prioritize yourself, your self care, and your mental health first, because if you don't take care of yourself, you cannot take care of anyone or anything else. Number two, in relationships, when it comes to relationship, I think it's always important to practice active listening, which means not saying anything, not trying to fix. The best communication is when you can just listen without responding
Yeah.
or anticipating what you want to say. Number three is, in terms of relationships, is respecting the other person's feelings. You don't have to agree with what they say. As a matter of fact, you might disagree with 99% of what they say, but you at least have to respect their feelings and their point of view. Number four is to be able to like or love unconditionally, no conditions. And then lastly, I know we talked about this a little bit, but creating a supportive environment in
Yep.
which you can have this safe, confidential, no judgment zone. So, a lot of times we want to be able to say something, but we don't. We are afraid to because we fear retaliation, revenge, or you're going to go back and tell my business. We lack trust issues. So I think those are some mental health, just 5 little mental health things that I think can help in different types of relationships that can kind of help, with that and helping their relationship to be successful.
Right.
And in terms of how to find me, I think the best way to find me, first of all, I'm Rhonda M. Wood on all social media platforms. All social media platforms, Rhonda M. Wood. So that's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, Clubhouse. But I think the best way to find me is 10krhonda.com. 10krhonda.com. You can find my website. You can connect with me on social media. You can send me a message. You can contact me, send me a message or DM me. You can even download my free gift. I have a gift, a free downloadable that talks about, I think it's 7 tips to identify your passion and your purpose and your passion. And so all of that is at 10krhonda.com.
Amazing. So I want to. I have a comment too. What you said about the last number 4 point that you had about just basically having a non-judgmental environment and having a safe space to kind of share and speak. That covers the gamut of everything we talked about tonight. Coming home, even when you're dealing with that stuff and having a partner, a supportive partner that says it's okay, let's talk about it. And then you say, you know what, I am stressed, because you feel comfortable in that environment. So I thought that was a very key topic. The other thing, the 10krhonda.com, I'm sorry, shameless plug. When I met her, right, I thought I'm gonna give you like a 60-second story time, guys. So
I love it.
I'm this tech dude, right? I got the little electronic card with the little QR code on it, and you could tap it on the back of the phone, and I'm like, yeah. And then she pulls out this 10K Rhonda thing, and she's like, I got mine too. But it's like, and I looked at that thing, and I was like, this woman came out here. She gets it. This networking thing.
I had my QR code too. Yes. I had my
this-
digital business card too. Yes. Yes. People, you know what? You got to be ready so you don't have to get ready. That's all I'm saying.
Exactly. I was as a tech guy, I was impressed because I was still trying to figure out like what's the best. Like I wasn't gonna order no business card because it gets crazy. So I was like, what's the best way? I found this thing and I ordered it, but then when I saw yours, I was like, that's even better because look at all of this stuff, and I was impressed. So make sure y'all go there and check that out and click on everything. There's so much stuff on there. She telling you to go to the gift. Click everything. She everywhere. Trust me. I'm gonna read Lisa just because she's Lisa. I'm gonna read Lisa Phillips because we're gonna have her on the show too, guys. So remember that name. She coming soon. I gotta contact her. She says, I think the stress of going through the pandemic helped bring forth the mental issues people have been dealing with for years. Absolutely.
You know, I said at sort of after a few weeks of the pandemic, I said, you know what? Anybody who doubted or didn't have any type of mental health issue probably has one now. Because there was just too much going on. There was the physical, social isolation and physical distancing. And we were sort of isolated. We had to stay in the house like we were in timeout. You know, we couldn't touch people. You couldn't go near people. You had to wear masks all the time. There was this fear and anxiety of getting sick. There was the issue about, am I still going to keep my job? There was financial stress. There was physical stress. There was health. There was, you know, sadness and depression because you couldn't go to school and go. I mean, it was definitely there. It was definitely there. You know, the symptoms were rising. They said they were getting lots of phone calls. Mental health organizations were getting a lot of calls and a lot of cases. Therapists all of a sudden were you know in business again. Had lots more clients they hadn't heard from in a while, all of a sudden coming back. So absolutely, Lisa, I would agree with you.
And I think just real quick on that topic, and then we literally really gonna get out of here this time. For me personally, it let me realize that like there's certain things that I use to cope with stress and purge, like going out and being social and those type of things. And then I also claim the introvert. So I'm like, yeah, I'm an introvert. I'm in here. And then that moment happened when I was like, I can't go anywhere and purge this stress like how I've been doing for like probably decades. And when you took that away, you really got to see how you really deal with the mental things that happen. And it's not pretty. I was like, I can't go and talk to people in person. Like we was doing all these little happy hours on Zoom and all this other crazy thing. We was trying to figure it out, right? We was figuring it out, but I'm like, I can't hand out a business card. I can't have a conversation. I can't go. And I was like, I need to be around people. And I never realized how much until then, because like I said, I claim you put me in this little office and give me an internet or give me a TV show, I'm good, but not for a year.
Over a year in some cases, yeah.
So
absolutely, yeah. You have to create a brand new normal.
Yeah,
a brand new normal, and I think you know, a lot of mental health diagnoses undiagnosed mental health issues came to the surface for
Yes,
sure.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. So we're gonna wrap this up. Everybody, make sure you go to relationshipgumbo.info and click on everything. I'm not even gonna tell you what to click on. The other thing that you really have to do too is I'm also a part of a men's panel on every Monday called Real Shop Talk. Make sure that y'all go to that website. All of our profiles are there. We have some amazing shows. We populate that. It's like a little link page, but we populate that with the newest flyer every week. So the next flyer is coming out probably I would say tomorrow, and we just talk about men's stuff. We talk about how men think about different topics and really get underneath the hood. That's why I love these brothers so much, because we get underneath. We done had some tears last Monday, and it was, you get to see some real men talk about real things. So I'm very proud that I'm associated with that show. So I wanted to actually like set a little second aside for that. So make sure you check that out too. And on that note, guys, we done. Thank you again, Rhonda, for sharing your time and your insight with us. And hopefully we'll have you back again one of these days. We got to get Lisa on deck. So we're going to be talking to her soon. And yeah, this was good. Informational. Hopefully you guys got value. Make sure you share this out. Make sure you get people on the replay. And we're going to get out of here. And I also, I want you guys to be safe, please. Certain parts of the country, y'all wilding out. I need for y'all to be safe. I need for you to take care of yourself. And like I said earlier today, when I think I went live on Instagram for a few minutes, whether you're vaccinated or not, just be safe. I'm not going to tell you what to do because I don't want nobody coming for me, but make sure you take care of yourself, especially the elderly and the young ones, and take care of yourself. Just make sure you're safe out here. So on that note, we're out of here. We will see you next week, same time, same place. Have a great night.
Okay, everybody wants good love, that's true, I know. Derek Jones about to break it down with the relationship gumbo. Welcome to the podcast. Ain't no doubt we all need this, ayy, cause better relationships need better ingredients, ayy. So if you want better relations, it's about communication, finding love, staying together. We all wanna make it better, yeah. Derek Jones, the host, your relationship